Welcome to the Spike Camp podcast. Spike Camp is a free online community for hunters that support conservation. It's a great place to share stories and your experience with other hunters. As a member of Spike Camp, you get access to all of our hunting live streams, discussion channels, contests, hunter resources, and events that we host. Membership to Spike Camp is free. Our only ask is that you are a member of a hunting or conservation group before you register. Head over to spikecamp.com to join us. This episode of the Spike Camp podcast is brought to you in part by Precision Optics. Omer and his team are the ones to trust when it comes to mountain hunting gear, guns, and optics. Precision Optics is a major supporter of conservation, and we are proud to partner with them. Head over to precisionoptics.net and tell them that Spike Camp sent you. This episode of the Spike Camp podcast is brought to you in part by Alpine Riflecraft. Alpine Riflecraft is a Canadian firearms company that is redefining what an ultralight mountain hunting rifle should be. Their flagship product, the Zenith rifle, starts at 4.5 pounds and is the lightest carbon-barreled bolt-action on the market today. Alpine Riflecraft rifles are 100% engineered, designed, and manufactured in Canada. To learn more, visit their website at alpineriflecraft.ca.
Hey everybody, tonight's guest on Camp Chat is our friend Tanner Dannish. Tanner is a dedicated conservationist, hunter, and proud owner of Frontiersmen Gear. Tanner, welcome to Spike Camp, buddy.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, you guys. Appreciate it.
No, it's good. We've been trying to get this on for a long time, but life gets in the way, and you've had a lot going on.
Yeah, seems like it for sure.
Well, maybe before we get rolling, if you could give us a little background on yourself, tell us, how'd you get started in hunting?
Well, we grew up, actually, the first few years of my life was up in Norman Wells. My mom and dad lived up there for a while, so that was a pretty subsistence lifestyle that they lived, and it was kind of just par and course for everybody that lived in the north to hunt caribou early season and survive on, you know, a lot of what you could kill or harvest. So that was kind of just bred into it with my mom and dad doing that. And then when we moved down, I lived most of my life in Dawson Creek and in the north there. I mean, it's kind of just an oil and farming town, and everybody hunted. So as young as we could, we were out hunting. I shot my first elk when I was on a LEH youth tag. I think I was 14 years old and got to shoot my first bull. And, you know, it kind of hammers it into a person's system pretty quick, and then that's just life at that point.
Yeah, that'll do it. So who was your was it your mom or dad, or who was your mentor that got you into the elk hunting then?
It was some neighbors that I spent a lot of time with. It was their dad, actually, because my mom and dad split, so my old man wasn't around too much, and this guy was awesome, and I kind of just tagged along with everything they did, and it was a great way to kind of learn to start hunting. And then we quickly fell in love with it at that age, and luckily enough had YouTube and everything else, and start learning on your own, and quickly just took that ball and started running with it.
That's cool. So when did you get into like actual calling elk yourself and starting down that road? How old were you?
I think I was 16 when we started, like when we were first time I was able to shoot a bull that we called in, and then I turned into a couple that year. We got 2 that year, and then after that it was like that's my real passion, is hunting elk, and especially up in that Peace Country area, but have done it kind of all over the province now. And calling elk is, you know, like anything, you know, when you do something so young, it just breeds into a person. You just you don't know why that passion is there, but I don't know. I just love talking to elk and hearing them screaming in the bush.
Yeah, I mean, if you haven't done it, yeah, it's such an incredible rush, right? Like the first bugle that answers you, even if it's like, if your bugle is the shittiest one out there and you sound like a car horn, you know, with a dead battery or something. I mean, it doesn't matter. When that bull responds, it's like, oh my God, the heart pounds right through your chest. So it was the best, man.
Absolutely. It was, and I look back at some of those first interactions I had with elk, like super young, and didn't know what we were doing. Like the first first 2 elk that we got, we didn't even have day packs. Like, we were just running in there with nothing, with water bottles in our pockets, and it was just dumb. Like, it was just absolute chaos. And you're running in there with like shitty hoochie mama from bought it from, I can't remember, Corlane's or wherever, and then we upgraded to the old power bugle, and then we were just, we were the cat's ass at that point, when could scream on a power bugle and make one note the whole time. And yeah, I look back at some of that stuff, and those were some incredible memories in the elk bush, just not knowing what you were doing and just having so much fun out there.
Well, and also when you live in that country, right? I mean, you guys could go out on, after school and catch an evening hunt, or, a couple buddies in a pickup truck, go for a road ride and, start bugling. I can only imagine. I didn't have that luxury, neither did Blake, to be able to do that like right at a young age, but that's awesome.
Yeah, I think anywhere, like even here in Prince George where I'm at now, it's anytime that you're like in that northern half of BC, it's just hunting is so accessible that it's, I don't know, it's just easy. And then it just, since it's so easy, you just do it more and become more passionate about it. So, yeah.
So it's safe to say elk is your jam. That's your favorite. Like you said, that's your favorite hunt. Is that your favorite animal, period, as far as the whole hunting scene goes?
Yeah, it is. Like, I mean, I've been lucky enough to kill a few now, so it's kind of chasing bigger bulls, but I love getting other people out there doing it, which is a lot of fun. But I'd have to say, like, yeah, if I had 2 weeks of the year to only hunt one critter, it would be elk for sure. I love mountain hunting. Like, I mean, you can't ever knock anything about it. It's some of the most beautiful places in the world are mountain hunting, like for big caribou and stuff like that is so fun. But yeah, I don't know, that tight country with elk, and you see them busting out at 20 yards. It's, how do you say no to that?
Yeah, I mean, we could talk about it all night, but I think one of the biggest thrills for me, there's so many when you're elk hunting. It's when you get that silent bull that comes in, and all of a sudden you don't know where he is, and all of a sudden you hear a twig snap 10 yards from you, and he's there, and you think, holy shit, how did he get that close without me knowing, right? Like, it's just the best. So cool.
It is. And it really wakes a guy up or you bust a bull at like 10, 15 yards and you hear it crashing through the bush, and you're like, that same thing that just crept in is like, just sounds like a freight train running through the bush.
Yeah, we were, Lake's been chasing elk now for, this will be our 8th year, and it took us 7 years. We were hunting 6-point zones everywhere, and we dabbled a little bit in the piece, with the smaller antler restrictions a little bit, but we didn't really know. And then finally we committed last year to going for it and getting into that country. And we got lucky on the one morning. People have heard the story if they listen to us at all, but we got on a bull right away. I played with them, and then a little bit later that morning, we legitimately stepped on a bedded bull and got him going, and another one, and within half an hour it was done. But yeah, I can't wait, man. September can't come fast enough for me either. It'll be great.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's cool. Well, let's talk a little bit about your knife making. What was I've always been curious. What was your career path prior to becoming a bladesmith? What did you do before? In between like high school and that?
Yeah, so I dropped out of high school young and moved rigs in the oil patch, really young actually. And I was doing that and kind of just didn't know where I was going with life. And I joined the military. I did a stint there, did some private contracting when I came out. And then, to be honest, I was pretty lost in life, kind of just, I was chasing my girlfriend around, and we ended up down in Kamloops and didn't know what I was doing with my life. I had like, I don't know, 6 different jobs in 8 months kind of thing, where I was just not doing anything productive. And then met an old family friend, actually, that a neighbor when we lived in Norman Wells. That was a family friend I went out to visit, and he was kind of a renowned knife maker in BC, Ken John. And by the end of a visit with him, I was able to convince him to do kind of an apprenticeship with myself. He had never taught anybody at that point, and I didn't have a passion for it. I just thought that I'd hate to see that old craft that he had honed over 25, 30 years just go to waste. So I wanted to learn it. And I quickly, I don't know, I just fell in love with making tools by hand, and watching a piece of steel turn into an actual usable blade was a big part of it. So I was doing it on the side, and then still working other construction jobs and just whatever else. And I was lucky enough that started picking up pretty fast and getting a lot of custom orders going out. And then it kind of just, I don't even know how it got to here. At some points it just snowballed. And I mean, it wasn't that long ago that, like, I was looking back on it, it was 5 years ago, maybe 6 years ago now, that I was making those first knives under our deck at the time of an old shitty rental, on like a 3x3 table with my grinder on the one side and, you know, some hand tools on the other, and throw a tarp over it at night, and it would rain on the thing and be all wet and rusty in the morning, and go from that now to our new shop. And it's just like, I don't even know how it happens sometimes.
Yeah, it's amazing how things can take off like that. I've helped start quite a few businesses over the years, and some will just take off, and some just don't go anywhere, and you never really know. I'm just curious, how old were you when you started learning the knife trade? Then, like, what age point was that when he started mentoring you?
So I took that apprenticeship. I was 21 at the time.
Okay.
Yeah, I was 21. So we're young enough that, you know, I was able to still sponge it up pretty easily. But yeah.
That's cool. And then, so was there an actual trigger point when you decided, from the moment you were, you know, that point where you were making knives under your deck and covering them with a tarp, to making your first sale, or deciding this is a, you know, business opportunity? What triggered that?
Yeah, I think there was kind of 2 points. So the first one was when we moved out of Kamloops, we moved up here to Prince George, and I had a decent order list going. And as I changed jobs, I kind of just made the mental decision to only work 3 days a week. I'll only offer myself to contracting 3 days a week for this construction company. So I did that. And then on those, like, I would do the other 3-4 days of the week, I would just work on knives, and it was working really well and sustaining myself. So there was that point when we moved up here. And then about 6 months after that, which was and it was March 2nd of 2020, just before COVID hit, and I walked in and quit my job at that construction company, the few days that I worked there, 3 days a week, but that was my steady job, and decided to do it full time. Just made that leap and started doing it. And then, you know, a month later, COVID kicks in, all the lockdowns and all that crap. And, you know, it worked out to be one of the best things that ever happened to me. That I did it. Like, I was lucky enough to do that. But then B, with COVID and everybody going outside, and, you know, there's a lot of people that actually ended up having more money than they did before. So business just started skyrocketing.
Yeah, you know what? As much as COVID was a disaster, it was a blessing for a lot of companies and a lot of unique businesses. And it triggered people to, you know, take a little risk if they were sitting around the house and you didn't know the future of their job too. So that happened to a lot of people. A lot of companies started in 2020 and 2021. It's kind of neat.
I honestly, I mean, not going to go down this rabbit hole. I'm sure everyone's ranted about it enough, but I think that there was exactly what you said. There's a lot of good sides to it. Even the people that started small businesses and then maybe transition back into the regular workforce, they understand what goes into a small business and running your own business now. So I think there's a lot of positives on that side of it.
Yeah. And if nothing else, people learned a lot about themselves too, because they had a lot of
a lot of time at home. Yeah,
exactly.
And the relationship. Yeah,
exactly.
Tanner, what's the story behind Frontiersmen Gear, the name? Like, you've got a pretty sweet brand. I feel like it's like vintage vibes. I've seen some of your ads and stuff. They look really good. So I was curious if there's any kind of story of how you landed on that name.
So actually, if you scroll back, I've never deleted anything off our business Instagram, but if you scroll way back to the beginning, it used to be called The Frontiersmen. And what I wanted to actually originally create was, I was still doing the knives, like this was when the knives were just kind of happening kind of thing. And I started this business before that, registered it through BC and everything. But I wanted to create like an old school, my original idea was almost what the storefront is now, which is like an old school hunting lodge gun shop kind of thing. And I wanted to create like, do community events and do all of that stuff. And I've always lived with that. My mom has an old Trapper Nelson pack that was always displayed, and an old axe I was on, and I just grew up seeing that. And there was that old, you know, the whole mentality of those frontiersmen, and this thing that I wrote on, which was the modern frontiersmen, the guys that are still going after that adventure, still chasing the unknown. So originally it was called the Frontiersmen, and then there's some crazy cult on the East Coast that somehow it popped up, and I had to change the name. So I ended up changing it to Frontiersmen Gear, and again, best thing that probably ever happened to it. So,
Hey, Tanner, I think some would argue there's some crazy cults up in Prince George area too, but that's just another story.
hey, come on now.
They're everywhere, man.
Yeah,
just throwing darts at you, buddy. So let's talk a little about that evolution on that vision, because there's a lot of cool stuff that comes out of your shop, and it's not just knives. There's a ton of leatherwork, and the leatherwork is awesome. And I've met Lewis a couple times, and he's a beauty. And it's really exciting to see the work that you're doing. Was that part of the original plan? Like, at what point did you get Lewis involved?
So it was very, very soon off the bat. I mean, I've got a long list of things I knew I wanted to offer through Frontiersmen. Leather was on the list. Things like, and it falls under leather, but like saddle making, all kinds of things. It's all stuff that the old time crafts that I think are super important, that the whole idea of Frontiersmen was to keep this shit alive. At the end of the day, it was just not let these old skills and crafts die. So leather was on the list. That the construction company that I worked for when I first moved up here to Prince George for just a short period of time, Lewis was a superintendent there. So he's running massive multi-million-dollar construction jobs. And he just one day we were in the shop talking late at night. I can't remember what I was working on or whatever. And he said that he did leather on the side, and shows me this wall that he did. And then it started with the classic, oh, well, I do these knives. Can you make me, I can't remember what it was, belts, I think is what we started with. And then it was another one of those things where Lewis is like, was right on the edge of the tornado, and he just stood there long enough until I just sucked him into the business. And I mean, now he's, exactly. He's full time with Frontiersmen now. He quit his job, almost 2 years ago now, about 18 months ago. He ended up quitting his job, which is crazy, like a career that he worked his whole life for, to come work here. And I'm just dragging him along now at this point, so it's perfect. And I mean, the whole leather side, it's such a beautiful craft. Like, I mean, it complements the knife side perfectly, which is just, it's just lucky at that point. But it is such an amazing thing, and it truly is. It's no different than woodcraft or metalwork or anything else. It's incredible stuff. And now I get to watch him do it all the time, and I really get to see what goes into it. Because I mean, I've done like a lot of our knife seas and everything else on the side, and his level of work is next level.
So with regards to the leather, then, like, what are some of the things that he creates for people? You mentioned, is he like actively making saddles and like horse tack and stuff like that, or what are the product lines for that?
We're doing light repair of that stuff right now. Next January, if it works out with the shows, we're going to try and send him down. I'd like to send him down to a course, start learning the saddle making side. He's his skills exceed what is needed there. He just needs some learning on that side. So we offer a full line of belts and slings. We have wallets, some pretty unique products like our tag sleeves. We have BC tag sleeves and the universal tag sleeves for anybody out there. Our scabbards are something that's blown up over the last little bit. It's taken a lot of R&D for us to get scabbards that are kind of built to our quality standard, and we'll have that same lifetime warranty. It's basically, if it can be made out of leather, we're going to do it. The knife sheath side is a huge side. He's got incredible skills carving, so that's something that we're going to highlight a lot over the next quarter, the next 3 months, but then especially moving forward here in the new shop is showing all that stuff off.
That's cool. Now, is he doing like custom gun cases and stuff? If somebody wanted that, is that something that he'd be interested in?
I mean, you can, if somebody has like ideas of something that they want, the cool part of our business is as much as we run production and we have a workflow and certain products that we make, we label everything completely custom for a reason. If you have an idea, whether it doesn't matter how crazy it is or anything else, like, I mean, we've had guys reach out about wrapping steering wheels on their vehicles and all kinds of things.
Yeah.
And if we're able to do it, we're going to make you an offer on it, or, you know, see, hopefully we can help you with that. I mean, it's the worst we can say it's not right now, and add you to a list and reach out to you when that is something we can do.
Sure. Yeah, cool. Well, speaking of that, that's a great segue. We got some giveaways from you guys, and Blake is going to pull a name from the folks that are watching. We got 24 people online tonight, so let's do that. We're going to give away a little chunk of leather.
Yeah.
How are you going to do that?
I'm just grabbing the number right now. Give me one sec. Okay, so 15. Let me just see who's number 15 on the viewer list here. So Murray Stadnichuk won. So,
awesome.
I know,
all
Murray.
right.
So Murray, I'll message you. We'll sort that out.
Let's tell him what he won first.
Yeah, so we're going to give away 3 of our BC tag sleeves to guys that are in the province, and then anybody that's not in the province, we won't send you BC tag sleeve. We'll send you one of our universal ones that will fit whatever province or state that you live in.
And Blake just showed it. He's got one.
Yeah, I'm running one. They're great.
That's
cool. They're fun little units.
Yeah,
that's awesome. All right, well, there you go. That's the first giveaway. And so, as far as the staffing goes right now on the manufacturing and custom side, is it just you and Lewis, like you doing knives and him doing leather, or have you got other guys working there now, guys or girls?
Yeah, we have a part-time apprentice that's been coming in as we were finishing construction here. We just finished his shop and got moved in literally last week, so it's gonna ramp up here. We are looking to hire probably 4 more positions in the next kind of 4 months. We can more than suit that. It's more than anything on our end, you know, learning the production side on teaching now. I mean, I've never, you know, other than our apprentice that comes part-time, we've never had to actually teach anybody. So it's a bit of a learning curve as the business is growing here, but we are going to be growing quite fast. And then my wife, Kennedy, I mean, she's a full-time nurse and she still gets sucked into a lot of the shipping and then the website work and everything else. So there's lots of positions to fill right now, to be honest.
You know, that's the catch-22 in building a business, right? As soon as you're like, oh man, this business is just popping. All right, good. Now we're gonna hit those profit levels. You know, all of a sudden, well, okay, now we got to buy this and we got to hire 5 guys to do this, and this. So, you know, it does turn into a snowball that ends up in a good place, though. That's the beauty of building a business, right? Especially one like yours, where you know the business plan is only as good as the product you're putting out, and you know the more momentum you get as a brand, the more that business will flow. So. Yeah, it's exciting to see and hear that. That's awesome.
Absolutely.
So what's Tanner like as a teacher to an apprentice? Are you a good teacher? Are you impatient? Like, what's your deal?
No, I think luckily enough, like, I mean, I'm pretty young, but I've done enough and been in enough situations that it takes quite a bit to get me fired up. So it's all pretty chill here. It's a nice shop. As long as no leather work pisses Lewis off, then we're just pretty easy going here. Yeah.
No tools flying around.
No, it's the all easy here. And you know, that's the cool part of this business, and any employees that are going to be a part of it, especially like Lewis and I already, but then anyone else that's coming onto it. At the end of the day, like I don't want to see you in here in September. Like, I want you out enjoying your falls. I want you gone in the summer, everything else. We up here in, like, especially in Prince George, we got 6 months of shit weather. Like, unless you're out snowmobiling and stuff, then there's nothing you can do for 6 months. So come in, work, let's, you know, get hours, build up inventory, everything else, and then, you know, screw off for summer and go do a bunch of fun stuff. So it's a cool business because we've, like, one of the main things for me myself is I've like I don't agree with the 9 to 5 Monday to Friday. I want that completely gone in this. I think it's something that was built a long time ago and has no place in modern society anymore. So it's
Totally agree.
that's the big one. Is I want like Lewis and myself. Lewis on a very flexible work situation. Mine's of course different, but then anyone else that fires, if they, as long as there's 80 hours at the end of the year is equaling 80 hours every pay period, then it doesn't matter actually what you work.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. So in my real job, I've got a team of about 120 people in 14 countries. So it's impossible for me to count time cards and stuff. And that's my motto. It's like, I'm not going to look over your shoulder. I just expect the work to be done. And if you have a problem getting it done, call me and we'll support you any way we can. Right. That's sort of that's the way of the world now. Like you said, the 40-hour work week is gone. I mean, like 9 to 5, 40-hour work week. It's get your work done. Get it done. Let's just take a couple seconds here. We're trying to encourage our members to ask questions. So Blake, do you want to grab a couple questions off the chat, and we'll jump back to the topics here in a minute, Tanner?
For sure. Yeah. So Mike Dow, he was asking, what's the best knife for keeping an animal when weight is a high concern?
So I'll start with like our products. I'd say our Mountain Series Lynx blade is going to be the perfect blade for something like that. It's what I designed it for, was breaking down even big critters like elk when you want like a smaller blade. It's a sub 3-inch ultralight blade. It's right around 1 ounce. Something like that is going to be your best bet. Outside of what we offer, there's a lot of people that offer nice lightweight knives. Anything like that under 3 inches, super small in the hand, probably something, paracord wrapped or something to cut weight down. It's going to be the cat's ass in a situation like that.
Right on.
Yep. Cool.
And then I see we got Brecken's asking, is teaching something that's in the horizon for Frontiersmen? Not totally sure what he's looking at. Probably just some of the trades that
beginner
you guys
classes.
are working on.
Beginner classes for knife making. Yeah, I think that's what he's after.
Yeah, so we've actually developed this system for that already. We have kind of manuals in place to start on that end of it. The leather side is going to be what we offer courses on to start with, just because it's a little easier in a constrained time period to rock on. We are going to offer kind of, I don't know exactly how to call it, almost university classes that'll be over a couple days, very small amount of people that come into the shop. I know some makers that have done like large scale courses before, and they run them with like 8-10 grinders and they're teaching everybody at the same time. I'm a lot more hands-on. Like I want to help someone really help. I don't want someone just to do it. I want them to understand what they're doing. Yeah, we will. Absolutely. They'll be very, small, few people kind of thing, and only once every few months kind of thing, but it's definitely something I want to do. I mean, like all of this, I don't want these trades to die just because I want to take advantage of them. I don't want them to die for anybody. I want you guys to learn how to make knives. I think everyone should do this. And, if 1 in 50 people start doing it as a business, I think that's awesome. I think there is no industry or space that can be overloaded anymore, especially with social media. There's space for everybody in this. And, there's a lot of knife makers in BC. There's a hell of a lot of knife makers in Canada, and there's a gargantuan list in North America. And I mean, there's, as long as the person's decent at their marketing and everything else, you shouldn't starve in this. So we're definitely not trying to choke hold anything or anything else like that. We want people to learn these trades.
I couldn't agree more. I think I look at that in so many different pieces of equipment, especially in the hunting space or any space for that matter. If we had more entrepreneurs out there, like one of the things we've learned along the way here with the project Spike Camp is there is so many small great ideas. Starts with a great idea, turns into a small business, and eventually into a big business. And you start looking at some of these guys out there, like the Ozzyok Equipments of the world, the Wiser Precisions, knife makers like you and Bruce Culberson, another great guy, makes great stuff, and supports conservation, And I think, if we could encourage that instead of these big assembly lines, God knows where, Southeast Asia, where India, it doesn't matter. We can keep these jobs in North America, Canada, Prince George, wherever. That's what we've got to start supporting. And that's a big mission for us, is to give, try to give these smaller brands an opportunity to showcase and then support the shit out of them, right?
I think so. And there's no feast or famine, like the old school feast or famine mentality. It doesn't need to be a thing anymore, in my opinion. We're so connected nowadays, which is so cool. And it, it's also something that isn't really going on in Canada that we want to push really hard. Down in the States, you see it a lot more in the maker side, like other like knife makers collabing with each other, like, oh, I'll make the blade, you make the handle on it. Everyone promotes each other. The old like rising tide raises all boats theory, which is the truth. Like, I mean, it's so cool. It really is. And it's not just this stuff, like hard blacksmithing, like horseshoes and that kind of thing. There's so many cool trades that are just, they need to be taught, they need to be passed down, and they need to be shared with everybody that's going to listen to it.
That's what you need, is a blacksmith shop up there and some custom blacksmith stuff, man.
You know what? Now that we're done construction, I'll get it started in the back. We'll just keep going. We just won't shut it down.
Just another wing, the blacksmith wing, man. I think I was
in
in
the morning. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Put Lewis in charge of that. He can get it going. That's what he needs right now, right?
I can imagine that conversation.
Yeah. I'm not kidding. I think it's a good idea. I was down in down for you, up for me. We were in Barkerville like 5 or 6 years ago, and there was a hardcore blacksmith there, old school, doing it as a demonstration, and it's cool. It's really cool. I think there's definitely something there. That's another dying thing, right? But there's so many. Well, I know this is a real passion for you, and I want to give you some time to talk about it, because you've been working on this project for so long. Tell us about the new shop and the idea and vision that you have around what the Frontiersmen shop in Prince George means to the hunting and conservation community.
I don't know how much time we have, but I'll try and find the most condensed version I can. When I grew up, there was a community hunting store that you could go into and had the bulletin out, was behind glass. You walked in there, and when you killed an animal that year and you stuck it up on that board, everybody wanted to go into that shop. It was, it didn't matter if it was a Tuesday afternoon or a Friday night, even as a kid growing up in the, that enjoyed hunting, that's where you spent every minute you were running down there. So I don't know what happened or when it happened, but I feel like that's drifted away. I feel like, in a lot of ways we've become more connected, but disconnected in community aspects. And I've seen the attacks in this community, that we call them attacks, but I mean, we've seen the division in this community, whether it's on like even what you guys started on Spike Camp to bring back old school forums, that it wasn't just people bitching and griping about everything, but people helping each other. And so we saw this massive disconnect, and I was like, I just don't think that it's actually what people want. When you talk to the average person, they want how it used to be. They want to be able to, help each other out and find mentors in the space and everything else. So I wanted to try and create a small nexus, a catalyst that could hopefully do our part up here in the north and in this community to bring people a space they just felt happy to go into. They wanted to stop in there. They felt comfortable in there, whether they were buying something or not. It didn't matter if they wanted to meet a buddy down there and have a coffee or just hang out. I wanted to create that. So it was that seed of an idea that turned into, okay, well, we'll create a little storefront lounge. And then it's like, well, if we're doing that, this business is expanding fast, we should create a shop in the back that, pull Lewis into it and have a space for new employees. And it quickly expanded into, a 2,000 square foot shop that's ready for expansion. I wasn't joking. We're ready for expansion at the back. We have the building plans for it. And then, my grinding can off the back end of it. So, I mean, it's just about 2,500 square feet here now, and an office and everything else. And it was just so important to me for this community, not outside of Frontiersmen, but then also just our little piece to be able to continue to give back to everything that is here. So we just got it finished on construction. It's been almost 2 years in the making. We've bootstrapped from the ground up. We've done it all. We brought in minimum amount of contractors, done all the electrical ourselves, the finishing, the lumber, like everything ourselves. And we're damn proud, to be honest. And we're looking forward to the expansion and bringing in, like I said, new employees and everything else is going to mean. We do have our grand opening happening here on July 13th. So that's open to the public. We'd love to see everybody that wants to come. We're going to do booze and live music and just have kick that community aspect off. And we wanted a spot here, especially here in Prince George. It's such a perfect spot being in the geographical center of this province. But then also when you look at where all the highways cross up here, if you're going north for sheep or goats or anything, you basically have to drive right past the house. So we just wanted to create that place where we, whether we only see you once during sheep season or we see you every weekend, it's always going to be a welcoming place that you can just come hang out and do nothing or buy nothing if you don't want to.
Yeah, that's awesome. And it's funny the way you described that. Like, I'll give you a little snapshot of my childhood. So, I was a child of the 70s, growing up in Saskatchewan, rural Saskatchewan. We're like an hour out of Saskatoon. And my dad was a big gun nut and, just all the time. Every time we had a chance, a day off, we went to Saskatoon. And, we'd leave early in the morning on like a Saturday morning, and he'd say, we're going to hit we're going to go visit all the gun stores in town. And like, there was many of those days. We didn't have a lot of money, but we would spend, an hour or two at each shop, sitting around, having coffee, talking to guys at the counter, talking to the other people in the store. And then, maybe he'd buy a box of shells or primers or something. And then we jump in the truck, go to the next store and meet the guys there. And we did this circuit. And when Blake and I were trying to map out, a plan to building Spike Camp, I said, this is what I want. I want to have like a virtual place for everybody. Just get in there, talk, share stories, talk about hunting, and like you said, some of those forums, there's just a lot of bullshit that goes on. There's no place for it here. And I know there wouldn't be any place for it in your shop, like it's not going to happen. Yeah. Right. So, kudos to you guys for that concept, keeping it alive. And just from what we see, just behind you there. I can't wait to get up there. I don't know if we'll make the opening, but we're going to be driving through PG a couple times, so we're going to definitely stop in and check it out. That's awesome. So, what's the date? What's the dates again on that? We'll have to post it up on our stuff too, Blake, because it's opening.
Yeah, so July 13th is going to be like the actual official grand opening. We're kind of doing anybody that's coming from out of town. We are going to be doing like a Friday night kind of kickoff and just having a social and everyone hanging out. And then we will be doing kind of yearly events. There's a lot we want to do. Like that's a whole nother realm of frontiersmen, but I want to do courses like long range shooting courses and all this other stuff and have a hub again to come back and teach all this stuff on weekends and everything else. So there's gonna be a lot going on in this little shop, but it's the point of it.
Well, we're going to have to talk collabs because we got lots of fun ideas too. And there's a lot of experienced, I think we're at right around 850 people now on Spike Camp, and it's going to grow real fast in the next few months. And there's just a wealth of talent on here. So if you're looking for help and collab stuff, I'm sure we can help you out there. We'd be excited to do that for sure.
That'd be great.
What other exciting stuff you got going on up there as far as the store and the shop and all that?
The biggest thing is we're going to finally be trying to meet production needs. It's been a huge struggle since day one for us. Like there's no way around that. I have a large custom list that I've been working down that kind of got built up as we were finishing construction here. But the biggest thing is just going to be getting as many knives in people's hands, and what this business has been able to, or what we wish it would have been able to do from day one, that we're going to start picking up the slack on and really getting knives out there. So that's honestly, that's the biggest thing, is just a massive acceleration in the amount of product we can put out.
Yeah, right on. Well, Blake, we got a lot of questions, so let Blake jump back in with a couple more viewer questions here.
Yeah, so we got Gian. He was asking, what kind of knife sharpener do you recommend for maintaining knives at home and in the field?
So at home, I really recommend that. And again, it's another little skill, but learning how to sharpen on a whetstone. It's something really important. There's a lot of guys that make different whetstones, and all of them work basically with the same mentality. But whetstones at home are the best way you can ever learn to. You'll learn your knife. You'll learn what you're actually doing again with creating bevels and everything. So that's probably what I would recommend for at home. A person gets something like that. There's a lot of belt grinder systems that I really recommend people stay away from. They can be pretty scary, especially when a guy starts sharpening a knife, which is usually when they've had a couple drinks and they think about it, or they're going through their hunting kit, and next thing you know, they got some wild looking Japanese thing because they got heavy on it. So stay away from belt sharpeners or anything like that. Out in the field, the work sharp, there's a pocket knife sharpener and a guided field sharpener. Those are great systems by Worksharp. Can't recommend them enough. There's other little stones and everything else. They all work good, ceramic rods, but I recommend those Worksharp pocket knife sharpeners.
So Tanner, let me just jump in here. Those little, I've got one sitting 10 feet away. So that the workshop one is the one that's got two stones and then the ceramics, right? And it's beveled. Yeah, they're freaking awesome. They work really well. Oh.
Super lightweight, small, thin.
Now, do you recommend, let's say you're doing a moose and you've got that one with you, would you have somebody start or just use the ceramic? Because that's all I've ever done I've got one of your knives, as you know, and it's done, oh God, a lot of animals. And all I ever do is just touch the ceramic. I never touch the stones with that blade at all. Am I on the right course there, or what do you suggest?
Absolutely. I don't even touch the stones on them. On the guided field sharpener, you can pop the stones right out. I can't remember if you can on the pocket knife or not. I pop those stones right out. I just get rid of them. I don't even bother carrying the weight out there. They do come off, yeah, it's not worth the time of you trying to set an edge while an animal's there, and now you're trying to guide her, because you don't ever do it until that knife's dull, usually, or else, not very often. So then, when the time comes down to it, you're not going to be trying to set a brand new edge onto that knife. So little ceramic rod, stick to the ceramic. All you're using it is just honing that edge over. You're not actually creating an edge by using that ceramic rod. You're just honing I'll think about all those little teeth that are on that blade, you're just bringing them all back to straight so that it'll cut nice. And then, then you get home and you put, a good little burr on it, take that burr off, and you're good to go for the next hunt.
Or you stop in at Prince George on your way home and have you do it.
Yeah, you have a beer here or coffee if it's in the morning, and I'll sharpen her up for you, no problem.
I think I sent my blade back to you. I don't know. It was double digits worth of animals. I sent it back to you for a touch up or I guess a resharpen, and it's ready to go for another dozen. So I can't wait, man.
That's awesome.
Blake,
I love it.
More questions?
Yeah, let's do one more and then we'll come back to them. From Ryan, any particular areas that Tanner finds inspiration or ideas for knife making and leathercraft?
Honestly, it's other artists outside of the knife making industry I've learned a lot from. I don't know if you guys know Brogan Didier. He's out of Chatwin. He's an incredible artist. He does everything from chainsaw work to charcoal, everything else. But the idea of knife making or leather work is the same. At the end of the day, after you have that product that works really well, it's a visual art after that, building from your base. And that last 20% that really makes that's a nice product, or that works really well, into holy shit, that's usable art. That's all just visual arts that go into that. So you have to almost reach outside of this realm into more of what actual sculptors and artists and everything else. And when you start learning what your eye catches, and then what flows together, and how you can play with lines on leather, curls to curl into letters and everything else, that's the things that really get a guy going. And when you lay out the material for a knife handle, and you kind of go through those steps in your head, or how the end of a custom knife sweeps out, and you don't see it until the end, and you polish that blade up and you step back and look at it and you're like, Okay, it all makes sense. It
Got it.
works. You don't know how sometimes, but it just like it works in your head.
Yeah, I think there's a clear distinction between craftsmanship and artistry, right? And if you can blend the two together, if your mind can process both and turn it into something tangible, then it's like masterpiece level, right? And then some of your stuff that, like, everybody that's here, I'm sure, follows your Instagram, and we see the reveals on some of that custom work, and it's stunning. And I guess I'm a little bummed because I saw Paul Chambers actually win one of your knives a while back, and I'm like,
Yeah.
that's not fair. That's just not fair, Paul. You see his comment there? He says that the best way to keep your knife sharp is to just hunt with Tanner, and he tunes them up for you mid caribou. So
Every time, not a problem.
yeah, exactly. All right, well, we're going to switch gears a little bit here. I think everybody that's a Spike Camp member knows that one of the main reasons, it's not hard to figure out, that we created this platform was to really try to promote conservation and hunting as one combined message, and that hunters are conservationists and if they're not, they should be hunter conservationists first and foremost, right? Because without the animals and the wildlife and the environment, we don't have anything to do. And what's the point, right? And the reason I say that is I want to talk a little bit about a collaboration that you did with, I think it was Blood Origins and Wild Sheep Society of BC, and you guys created that wonderful, I guess it's a documentary. I guess that's a safe thing to call it, Through Our Eyes. I mean, that was an absolute amazing production, and it did a lot for the cause, and it really helped promote and reinforce that same message that hunters are conservationists first. So I just kind of wanted to pick your brain on that a little bit and tell, how did that project come to light? Like, how'd you get involved? And give us a little backstory on that, if you would.
It was a fun project. I mean, it's working on a project now, but I don't know. It just worked perfect for it. So what happened was, actually, I was out hunting. I was on a caribou hunt with the great Paul Chambers, and he knows the hunt, the one that he's talking about there. We go on this hunt, and all I had heard to that point, especially about caribou in this province, was because I hadn't done a lot of dedicated caribou hunting until then, and was how hurt they were and everything else. And we get out there, and you start seeing animals on the landscape and these large herds of caribou, where they are, not everywhere, but where they are, and they're large herds, and they're sustaining, there's calves, there's everything else. And I quickly realized that as much as a person can talk about what's going on or show numbers or anything else, until a person actually sees it on the landscape, and not, I love a lot of people in this industry, but the hunting media that's come out as a general has not always been in our favor. So seeing the classic old school hunting films, TV show hosts, and everything else, it doesn't bode a lot towards what's going on out there. Yeah, okay, cool. I get to watch someone go hunting and everything else if I can't be out there, but it's not teaching me anything, and it's not showing me the actual perspective from any of that. So it stuck in my head at that point. Quickly after that, we found out about that was when all the blueberry band caribou closures started kicking off, and all the arguments and fights over that started peaking. And it was one of those things where just everything started falling in line. And so I'd already had the idea of the film, when I was out there with Paul, and then it kind of just came to fruition when that happened. And then so the closures started coming down. I was like, okay, this is something that we actually need to do, and we need to do it now. Never made a film before. I don't know how to do this. I don't know where the funding is even going to come from. Frontiersmen is fine, but we're not a multi-million-dollar business by any means. And I feed my family off this. We're like in the middle of construction out here. And then I pulled the Atlan Caribou LEH. So it was kind of like, okay, I'm not Christian or anything else like that, but sometimes it's just like, some stuff happens for a reason. So quickly made a plan with some of the guys that were close to me, and found, honestly, all I did at the end of the day, I tracked down the best people tracked down Brandon Shockey to direct it, to do like not field directing, but in-house directing. And he tracked down one of the best videographers out there, Matt Zignal. The timing worked out perfect. Matt was literally coming out of the Yukon. He was going to be in Whitehorse the day that I needed him in Whitehorse. Like, I mean, it was just, like I said, the weather window was perfect. Everything just lined up absolutely amazing. You know, end of September up in Atlin, and we had 10 days of beautiful weather. When does that ever happen? So
Yeah, no
I
kidding.
tracked up. All I did was I tracked down all the people, and I ended up just kind of throwing myself into it with the LEH tag. Jeff Agostino, he flew up into the Whitehorse, and then we started this film. And I mean, everyone can see the film and what happened, but you know, it was important to me to try and show us as hunters, and at the end of the day, not market this towards hunters. There's really, really push this and build this for the general public and the people that enjoy a good wildlife documentary, a good Nat Geo film, or Earth, or all these different, classic documentaries that come out. And I didn't want to burn any bridges in this community, of course, but I wanted to show it, build it not for us. I was building it for somebody else. And it just happened that, you know, turned out pretty cool for us too. So that's really what into it. And as for it, like, I mean, such incredible people, Kyle and the entire crew at WSSBC, like, I mean, they're just, I could go on and on about that crew, but sort of supported us there. Robbie had a huge part to play in that. There was some amazing companies like Stone Glacier that jumped on board, and, you know, it was just, everyone understood how important this was. And we were really lucky that we just, honestly, the only part we really did was we put our name on it. So obviously picked up a little funding, had to fund a bit through Frontiersmen, just a bit, but
no doubt.
Did that. And then, really opened my eyes to how amazing the film side is, but how important it is that we produce quality hunting media and hunting or projects that are, you know, of hunting, but not for a hunter, is what really, really fueled me on this.
I totally agree. I mean, it's the message that you guys put out there is exactly the one that we need as a community to be out, you know, out in the face of all the public. And the fact that the public could sit down and watch this film, and like you said, it's a documentary. It's no different than what you know, type of content, or I guess levels of content that you would see on any of those Nat Geo or Discovery or any of that stuff. And it was just a breath of fresh air. You touched on some of the, the influence that we have from, you know, the heavily sponsored driven TV shows and all this shit that you see when you go on certain networks. You know, there's still some great TV productions out there. And it's funny because the ones we seem to like the most, that ring the bell for us, usually seem to be Canadian made, you know, for the most part. It's like, I don't know if our I guess our media and filmmaking community sees it a little differently, but yeah, I don't know, congratulations on that. I haven't had a chance to shake your hand about that project in particular, but it was cool. So you dropped a little teaser that there might be something else coming. Are you at liberty to say or give any hints or anything, or is it too early?
Yeah, we can talk a little bit about it. It's been a long project now. It's an interesting part of our space to try and film, but it's about predator management and predator hunting.
Okay.
So very weather dependent and very tricky on that side, which is tough, trying to bring camera crews up and everything else. So it was supposed to be filmed this last winter, and it just didn't work out with how the winter was starting up here. Like, I mean, I remember calling it off. It was January, I think 4th or somewhere around there, January 4th. And I was standing outside our house here in Prince George. There wasn't a lick of snow on the ground. And I was like, all right,
yeah,
we can't risk bringing an entire crew up here. And, you know, they've got minimums, and those minimums are big minimums. So
for sure.
It didn't work out where we got to finish, but it's on the go. We're working with some amazing partners on it, and we're really, really looking forward to it. This is like the next. The caribou was awesome because it was so highlighted. It was at the top of the media, and everyone was talking about the caribou closures and everything, so it worked out perfect. This predator hunting one has been there for a decade, maybe longer, where it's just been the continual attacks or, pressure on this industry and this space has come regarding predator hunting. So we're looking forward to showing the hunter's perspective on it.
Yeah, awesome. I can't wait for that. That sounds exciting. That's cool. What do you think, Blake? Second giveaway time?
Sure. Yeah, for sure.
Let's do it.
Okay, let me get a number here. Okay, so number 25. All right, I counted down to Neil Bennett. So congrats, Neil. I got your name down. I'll message you and we'll sync up on that.
Awesome. Cool. And while we're at it, did we miss any questions from the group?
Oh yeah, we got a few questions coming in for sure. So let me just
Okay, let's jump on that. We want to be fair to her. I can't hog Tanner the whole night here, so.
Yeah, so, some of them are quick. So Tanner, Sheldon was asking, we touched on some of this a little bit, but not this specifically. Are you going to branch out and try other things that you haven't, like hatchets?
Yes, it's not going to be something that comes soon. To be completely honest, we need to expand. For myself to feel confident with that, we need to expand into this new area, which will have a forge in it, which will be a forge and anvil and power hammers and everything else. And in that situation, then we can bring in things like stainless Damascus and those programs, but then also larger forged tools like axes and larger machetes and that kind of thing. For right now, I think about it every day, but unfortunately I'm limited.
It'll come.
And then, yeah, Gian was asking, this is a quick one. Can you share how long the wait list is for your custom knives?
Yeah, so customs, new customs, we're looking about 18 months on those. We're backed up a little bit farther than that behind us, and we've been working through that list as fast as we can. It's something that I really, as we hire more guys, it's going to get tackled and brought back down to a reasonable level. I hate it being that long. I don't enjoy that. I don't think a person should have to wait that long, but that's just, I've got a bandwidth that right now is more than full. So as we hire more people and we can produce more of our mounted series and feed our retailers and everything else, then I can get that custom list down.
Nice. Brecken, this will be the last question. I'll hand it back to you, Dad. Brecken was asking, what's your favorite material to use on a knife handle?
It's got to be sheep horn. I don't know if I enjoy pissing people off by cutting up big rams more than actually putting it on a knife, but there's something so cool about taking sheep and putting it onto a knife and, seeing that ram get back onto the mountains. There's something really special about that.
Yeah. I'd be interested to see, like, every time I see your guys' handles that you do for some of those custom knives, the main thing I think about is, like, how the heck did you make that thing? So it'd be cool content one day maybe to see some behind the scenes of you working on it.
Yeah, it was always something I pushed away from, crammed in that little sea can and small shop and everything else I've worked out of. I was like, I'm not showing this off. No one's going to buy my stuff if I show off what I work in. So exactly. With our new space, there's going to be a lot of that. And we're going to try and push a lot more into the content side, showing off the leather side also, but then showing off the making of these knives. Yeah.
That's an awesome idea.
That'd be good stuff. That's it for questions for now. Okay. So I think everybody here, I don't know if you know it, Tanner, but I'm a diehard gun guy, and I have a very, very soft spot for vintage rifles, old guns. I'm building a pre-64 Model 70 collection, and it's chipping into the inheritance for Blake and his brother and sister, but I figure that just entices them to work a little harder. So Dad's spending your inheritance on that. Yeah, exactly. And I know you share this because if anybody's watched the film or if they see you, on Instagram showing off some of the leather work, they'll know that sometimes you carry an old lever gun. Tell us about the old girl. What is it first of all, and what's the story behind it?
So it's a Japanese reproduction of the traditional Winchester model 1886. It's their deluxe octagon barrel long thing. It's just a gross boat anchor of a rifle, but it's something that I've always, since I was in the military, learned about when they used 1886s back in the war, and the crazy stuff they did with them, shooting down blimps from biplanes and crazy things that those rifles have done. And then in the Military War Museum in Ontario, when we got to visit it, there's an old 1886 in there that was used in war. And I just thought it was just the coolest thing. And I started trying to track one down, and the great Omer, actually, he found one. It just happened to work out perfectly for timing, a brand new one in box. And deluxe, beautiful case hardening to it, beautiful wood, beautiful octagon barrel. And the first thing I did was just go bash it through the bush and just beat the shit out of the thing. So it's starting to look pretty worn. I'd really like to work at, I've never been one to try and like collect species or anything. I think that's kind of a weird way to go about hunting, but I always thought it'd be really cool to kind of hunt with it my whole life and see if a person could knock down the Super 10 or the 29 with just one old lever gun. Would be really, really damn cool.
Yeah, it would be cool. And the old stuff is just so cool. I mean, you don't know, half the time you don't know the history on it. Luckily for me, I had my father and my uncle were both crazy about guns. My uncle was a gunsmith in the Yukon, and I got a bunch of his old guns. I don't know if you popped by our booth at the show, but I had one of his old sheep rifles, and it's an old Mauser, and it was 6.5 by 55, and it's just tiny. It was an ultralight rifle from like 50s or 60s, and on the bottom side, it's kind of a cliche, but on the bottom side of the pistol grip, there's like 4 notches with a knife. And I don't know the history behind it, but I know that meant something fell down at the hands of somebody holding that old rifle. But I do know he shot a doll sheep like 300 yards with it, with this beat up old Weaver K4 scope. And I don't shoot that gun. It's got a handmade leather butt pad on it and an old sling. So I had it at the show, and it's going to be my trade show gun that I bring out to all the shows if we start doing that again. And I just love that stuff. I think it's so awesome, and it's cool. But I know, I know for a fact, because I follow you and I know your group of buddies. You take a lot of shit for that whole thing, don't you?
You know what? I take more shit for it because as much as I love that old thing, I love being successful on a hunt. So there's been a few times now, like on that caribou film, where that little part of my brain also goes click, and then first thing I do is I grab that long gun and I shoot an animal, and then I haven't walked up to that animal yet, and I'm like, fuck, I know what everyone's gonna say. So
Exactly.
just waiting for it. Send the group chat, and also the first thing you get, you fucker. So yeah, it's good. I'm basically gonna have to smuggle it up north on our sheep hunt this year, because I've been told a couple times if I bring that thing, it's gonna get left at the truck. So it'll be good. I want to kill a stone with it really bad. So
yeah, that would be an interesting conversation between you and your partners there. I can only imagine. That would be awesome. Yeah. Well, I heard a rumor a while back that you might be doing a special makeover of another gun, collabing with another craftsman. Is that true?
Yeah, it's that's another one that's been in the works for a while, but it's actually bringing together 3 really cool, or I should say 2 cool makers. Again, I'm just acting as kind of the glue holding everything together, but I'm going to take one of the great Mike Dudry's rifles and from Alpine, and I want to take one of those, and then one of the first ones that he's making here, and then stick it into get Ed Thompson out of up north here, and get him to build a old style beautiful Turkish walnut stock on it. So, and then drop that action rate into it and have a completely Canadian made rifle, which I think is just, that's the stuff that really just tickles me and is the coolest stuff to me. So I want to do all that.
That's awesome. You just dropped 2 of my favorite names as far as the gun community goes. Ed's a beauty. There he is. Hey, Ed. The work that man does with a piece of wood is just off the hook. If anybody, if you don't know, you got to just get on Ed's Instagram and check out. I think he's got some pictures on here too, and I'm sure he will tonight. Probably post a little bit more. And yeah, you mentioned Mike from Alpine, also just an incredible craftsman. He's another startup business in Canada, and trying to keep it his product as Canadian as possible. And I too have one on order. He's got his standard offerings, the 6.5, the 308, and the 7mm odd 8. And in discussions with Mike, him and I started talking. I'm all about unique calibers, and I'm a hand loader and stuff. And he's going to build mine. It'll be the first one off the production line in 284 Winchester, which will
awesome.
be hand loader's dream. And it's going to be unfortunately, it doesn't sound like it's going to make it for opener. But I just found out yesterday that I got drawn for a whitetail tag in Saskatchewan, and it's an old family hunt that I used to do, and they changed the draw system. I've been putting in for 11 years, so that was the last time I got drawn, and I'm going to take that little lightweight rifle back there and show the Prairie Boys what a mountain gun looks like. So I can't wait to do that. So
that's awesome. Yeah, I mean, it's I gotta get a hold of Mike. It's been more on my end. I was supposed to get a hold of him a long time ago, so it's a good reminder about that. Life is crazy, but no, even poor Ed. I mean, I was supposed to get this project to him, last winter. Still nothing's happened. So we got the stock blank. I look at it every day in the shop here, and it's gonna be a cool project for sure.
Oh, neat. I forgot to ask, what caliber is the old lever gun?
That lever gun, it's chambered in 4590 black powder.
Mm-hmm.
And I just shoot 4570 out of it. It shoots to I could shoot pie plates at 300 pretty good with it, and that's more than I could ask for. I'd love to get a hold of some 90 mil 45 cartridges. I haven't been able to find them anywhere and then hand load them, but if I can ever track any of that brass down someday, I'll shoot those big long things. It'd be really cool to shoot.
If you think of it, shoot me a text offline. I've got some contacts, and I'll do a little research for you. I've got a pretty good network of people. I'll see if I can help you out with that.
I appreciate that. Thanks.
What caliber are you going with the Alpine?
I like doing 308.
Yeah. It's I had somebody on the platform reach out to me last night. They have it's a fairly new hunter, and he's kind of in the game. He's been hunting a little bit, and he's got a 308 in a Tikka, and he was asking me, he's like, I want to, it's a pretty light rifle, so it's got a little muzzle jump, and he's like, if you were going to have one rifle, I've already got the 308, but if I was going to pick one rifle, should I buy, something else? And I said, look, I'm crazy about guns. I have a good collection. I'm always hand loading, but I just went to South Africa on a trip, and I didn't bring a rifle on that one. I rented a gun with the PH, and it was a $500 Howa with like a $200 Leopold knockoff on it, chambered in 308 with a suppressor. And I managed to take 8 animals on that trip, and I fired 10 shots. And ranges from 20 yards out to 400. I was like three something on a kudu. I think, I can't remember exactly, but kudu are like elk. And you know what? 308. There's nothing wrong with it, man. It's an all-around caliber. You can kill anything that walks in BC with that for sure. So.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't my rifle, but I've killed elk with 6.5 Creeds, and I've killed them with. I used to shoot a 340 Weatherby, and I mean, if you shoot them in the right spot, they're all going to die. And there's definitely something you said about bigger calibers, but I don't know. It's the same thing. Like, I mean, we could just spend this whole time talking about how blown out of proportion all that stuff is.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I want to circle back to knives for a little bit. Blake, you had a question you wanted to ask Tanner.
Oh yeah, I was curious of maybe back in the history of you starting out as someone who started making knives. Do you have a personal favorite knife you've made? Like, is that even a thing you can say? Do you have one that's like near and dear to you?
Yeah, there's a custom model that we make, which is called. Okay, this is a split answer. I've got two answers for this, so I'm terrible at this. But There's this custom blade shape that we offer that I make a lot of. It's called the Arctos, and it's probably the custom I've made the most of. If you scroll back through my Instagram, it seems like it's every other blade is one of those. I made it. My grandpa, who wasn't, long story, he wasn't my blood grandpa, but he married in, and he was just an absolutely amazing guy. He had a knife that was very close to this. It's not around anymore. I don't know where that knife went, but I've always had it imprinted in my head, and I want to recreate something like that. Anyways, yeah, long story to it, but I made that knife very close to what it is, modeled it more after like how I make knives and everything else, and it's just an incredible everyday carry, able to do everything you need. And it's just like a fun everything else knife. The one that I'll say, splitting this up, the Uncia, our Mountain Series, our long boning knife that's an Uncia, it's probably the blade that I'm most proud of because it was our real flagship product that was unlike anything else out there. Lots of guys made skeletonized knives and skinners. Everyone, and their dog has made a custom at some point, and there's lots of guys making them. But that Uncia blade was something that totally got built from the ground up, something that I wanted. I field tested lengths and everything else like that as a true boning knife out in the field. And it's that one blade that that I've heard a lot of from even collectors and everything else, that nobody offers something like this. And I'm pretty happy to hang my hat on that one.
That's cool. You can see the passion as soon as you start talking about that. You lit right up.
Yeah.
Cool.
It's so interesting too to hear. That's awesome.
Yeah. Well, a couple of questions on knives. Any tips or advice for just general maintenance of a hunting knife in the field? Like you're out for a couple weeks. I mean, what do you suggest to people when they ask you, how do I take care of this blade?
Don't put it into the sheath if it's just full of gunk. It's the first thing I'll say. Don't do that. A beautiful thing about stainless steel, which is what we make all of our knives out of, is they don't need a lot of maintenance. Even with blood on them, they're not going to like get crazy pitted rust and stuff, or rust by just sticking it into your sheath. So, wipe the majority off, whether it's on your pants or whatever you can that's safe. And that's honestly it until you get home. If you live, like, we've serviced quite a few fishing guides, and those guides have to service that knife. They have to be like cleaning it with like a Windex or some sort of degreaser often to keep that salt water off of it. But for the average person, the beautiful thing about stainless is there's no worries about it. And then when you get home, just don't let it soak in water. Just wipe it down with, a light cloth, nothing abrasive, and it'll clean itself up. Don't put it in the dishwasher. Don't be crazy like that. And yeah, that's it. No stress about it. Don't have to oil it. Don't have to do anything. And it should stay like that for a hell of a long time. And, like anything handmade, sometimes the materials will want to move. Like some of the wood, it all gets properly stabilized. We only use stabilized wood, but sometimes there's a little bit of moisture in it, or, it changes humidity temperatures, twists a little bit. You send it back to us. I'm going to just fix it up and send it back to you. Any big maintenance like that, that's not something you have to worry about.
Nice. Cool. Sort of related, Wyatt was asking, how often do you recommend sharpening knives for hunting or for at home?
At home, it's honestly when it's dull, when you can feel it and it's just not and you notice it's not slicing anymore. Instead of like really the biggest thing is like a sharp knife is a safe knife, so you don't want to start like really pushing through things, dragging through things. A chef knife like that at home, if you're using like a true chef knife for cooking and that kind of thing at home, or just like your walk around everyday knife, you shouldn't actually have to sharpen it very often. You hone it strop it on a piece of leather, or hone it on like a ceramic rod. You can do that whenever it's feeling dull, every week, couple weeks, whatever it is, but you shouldn't actually have to touch that blade up basically at all. Like you're not hurting that edge a lot. You're just folding those teeth over. When you're hunting, I have a little trick, and I've talked lots about this, but as soon as I get onto a kill of an animal, I go up to that critter, and I'm done photos, getting ready to process it. I'll set a timer for 45 minutes or an hour or something like that. And then it's a little reminder for me to get up, take a drink of water, not be so zoned in on that, have something to eat. And then I'll just quickly hone that blade up, touch it up real quick, and keep going on it because, I do this, and I still sometimes don't realize it. And if I get pinned into something, all of a sudden that knife is just like, if I'm cutting hair on like, if I cut hair on like a really dirty elk or something, gets dull, and I just like, you don't notice, right? So it's always easy to touch up.
Nice. Sort of related to the favorite knives, I was curious because like one of the things I noticed when I'm following you guys on Instagram and talking with you a bit, a lot of these custom knives have like pretty either unique materials or like a unique story, or I'm sure you get some pretty wild requests of like different ideas for knives. Is there any other interesting stories or something unique that you've done in the custom field that particularly sticks out?
Yeah, there's a couple kind of all around the same realm, like memorial style blades. There's one I got to make it for the anniversary 2 years ago for the PPCLI, which is the battalion that I served in the military. I got to create a blade for them. That was a special project, had the logo engraved into the pommel of it. It was a real, it was a stack leather, looked like a military style Bowie from back in the day. So that's a real special one. But we've had some really cool ones, like memorial pieces with the guy's dog collar that we got to inlay the dog that he had most of his life, and we got to inlay that dog collar into a handle. We've done a buddy passed this guy's hunting partner passed away, and his wife reached out with the bear claw from the hunt that they got, so inlay that bear claw into the side of the handle. That was a special one. We have one going, it's on order right now. We have it, but it's his dad's ashes, and we're going to mix those ashes into a clear epoxy tube, and that's going to be inset into the pommel. So that guy's always going to have his dad with him. So there's some really cool projects like that it's hard. I'm pretty selective about the customs that we take now, and you hear something like that and you're like, wow, there's no way I'm saying no to this 100%.
Yeah, exactly.
There's some special things out there that I feel really privileged that we get to be a part of, and I get to help fill that void.
Yeah, that's cool. I think we got one more question from Taylor here. He's just asking, if you're not skilled enough to use like a real whetstone, what's your thoughts on the guided Lansky style sharpeners that control the angles?
Yeah, Lasky's are great. They're an awesome option. They're not, I can't remember how expensive they are, but
not much,
yeah. So I mean, that's a really nice option for sure, and I think it's a nice midway between just a raw ceramic rod in your hand or those stones, and then one of those belt fed systems like I was talking about. So anything like that's gonna work awesome.
Okay. Gian just asked to tie into that question, any thoughts on the Work Sharp Precision Adjust? I'm not familiar with that. Is that same idea?
Yeah, I'm not
I think
sure.
I was just looking it up. I think it's a bench top knife sharpener. Like it seems like a pretty pro one. Gian might have to jump in, but yeah.
Yeah, anytime that there's like a motor or anything attached to like an actual sanding belt that you're putting onto there, I really recommend staying away from those. A lot of guys will use them and never have a problem with them, but I mean, I have a knife on my bench I can show you guys right now that came off one of them, and it got the mirror polish on the side of it, a beautiful bighorn mirror polish blade, and it got that. I got a belt on the side of it, and it's pretty much the surface finish is ruined on it. So I recommend away from those for sure.
Yeah,
I've seen a lot of those. So, yeah,
no doubt. All right, well, let's switch gears again. We're going to talk a little bit about hunting. So I know LEH draws are pending, but what have you got booked so far for over-the-counter stuff for hunting plans?
So stone opener, I've never hunted opener itself before, so looking forward to that one. Jeff and I are going to go north and chase stones around with the old long gun. And then elk season this year, I'm taking my wife out again, which is always a blast to do. And then I'm actually going to go guide elk this year, so that'll be a lot of fun, a little bit of a change on that side. And then I think I'm going to end up doing some hikings for goats this year. Really enjoyed chasing goats last year, and I'm going to continue to do that this year. So I think that'll eat up most of my October, and then roll into maybe some late season goat stuff, and then kind of just wait for LEHs. And then I'm a big fan of just jumping in with wherever someone else is. I've been lucky, especially the last couple of years, to kill quite a few critters for myself, and I'm cool with just helping a lot of people out that have helped me out the last couple of years. So I'll kind of, I'll be that annoying guy that's tagging along wherever someone else is. So that'll be about it. My wife she's a great hunter, and I want to, be there to fill in wherever I can with her and get her in the mountains more and more this year. So.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I mean, it's a cliche thing to say, but it's not all about pulling the trigger. When you're helping out friends and family and new hunters and stuff, I mean, that's where it's at, man. It's so much fun.
Yeah, and I mean, it's tough with their LEH system not knowing until so late, but the cool part of this province is with how much is available. If you don't draw any LEHs, I basically did it last year. You can hunt all through August, September, October, and just over LEH tags, just over the counter tags. So there's no end to it. And I'm a guy that during hunting season, I cannot stay at home. I have a really hard time with just trying to buckle down or get any work done. So I'm a very, very big fan of, one morning just sitting there having a coffee and you're like, yeah, tomorrow I'm getting the hell out of here. I'm going to go. I don't know what I'm going to go chase, but I'm going to go out to the mountains. So what's open and where can I go?
Oh man, I know the feeling, because as soon as hunting season starts, it's like there's this really loud clock in your head that's just going tick, 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 and you just got to go, right? Question for you then. So you said you're going to do some elk guiding. Are you going to be in familiar country or somewhere you've never hunted before?
No, fresh country. Actually, I'm gonna be up in that northern area, up by Terminus.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Oh,
nice. Oh, cool. Right on. That'll be fun. I think I know who you're hunting with then. So you gave it away right there.
Yeah, it'll be a lot of fun.
And then on the goat hunting, are you? I know you did a solo one a couple of years ago. Are you going to go solo again late season, or are you going to go with buddies?
I'll do something solo this year, like something more than just elk hunting, like couple days stint. I'm a big fan of. I think it's a good way to keep yourself in check and make sure you haven't become too soft in life. So I'm a big fan of it. Big fan of just like everything's kind of on your own shoulders. So I'll do something. It'll probably likely be as I'm heading back south, along somewhere up there. I'll end up kicking off the highway and just go chase goats on my way home. Pretty hard to drive through nice country and not be like, let's poke over into that ridge and see what's up there. So
yeah, exactly. So what's your sort of number one priority animal? That's probably a stone sheep for this year, I would bet, right? Is that
definitely? Absolutely. Like, if we're not successful for opener, then this whole story about chasing goats is going to change to just pretty head down. Head down, just looking for sheep. And I can see myself turning into one of those years where you go out into the mountains 3-4 times in a year and break the bank, but get it done.
Yeah, right on. Blake, you had a question.
I was just going to ask any tips that you could offer new hunters. Maybe this could be general, but stuff that maybe when you were starting out hunting, you wish someone told you or something like that.
Time in the field will trump almost everything. And it'd be, it's a beautiful thing to have forms and now spike camp and everything else, but a guy can get lost in just thinking, how one person did it back in the day and that worked for them is the only way to do it. And it's really not true. Like, field experience is it truly is the number one key out there. And I wasted a lot of time researching shit that I just didn't need to know or didn't really make a difference at the end of the day. So that's the big one for me.
Yeah, I mean, that's how I feel that's how I feel about e-scouting sometimes. Like, how many times have I spent hours on my freaking fat maps making pins, and then I go out there and it's like, had I just drove out here before, I would have saved half a day.
We did an elk trip this year. It was up north in new country. Was really excited for it. Looked at fat maps, was like totally stoked on it. and it was probably the least huntable area I've ever been in. And I looked at that thing for a long time, scouting, and it was garbage. So it's almost never done me. I'll always look at an area, have it loaded and everything, but you never know.
Totally.
Yeah.
Maybe
sure.
a quick follow on I wanted to ask you, Tanner, in that sense, because I think we get more and more new hunters coming onto Spike Camp. So I like the tip of field experience is like an important piece, like get out there into the field. Is there sort of like some of the essential skills that you would recommend? Like, because making that jump to, for example, you said you go on a solo trip every year. I think that's the end goal for a lot of people, is like to be able to feel sufficient to like go and do that. Anything that jumps out that's like, if you're going to try something like that, these are some of your categories of things you need to be experienced in or feel like you've kind of got under your belt?
I think the biggest thing in my mind, and it's not what probably most of the industry wants to hear, influencers say, or anything else like that, or how most people make it out to be. It's not as big as you think it is. It's not that big of a deal to go out for a couple days by yourself, hiking off the highway anywhere, region 7, region 6. Look, man, you're what, 7-8 kilometers away from the highway in a lot of these spots. You can hike out in a couple hours. Like, at the end of the day, it's, when I say field experience, it's just getting out there and doing it, because as you do it, it's always going to be tough the first time, and having that experience and that comfort, it will get easier, but you have to go through the shit. You have to go through the hard part of not feeling comfortable to feel comfortable in it. But as soon as you know that, there are a few skills, like knowing that you can boil snow down to drink water, or the immediate survival skills are a lot more important than how to hunt that animal, or how to navigate something else, or shooting azimuths, or all this other crap that every influencer wants to talk about. Like, get your basic survival skills down pat. How to eat freeze dried if you can't cook it, which is pretty easy. You just pour some water in and you're going to let it sit for double the amount of time, and then it's still going to be edible. It's not going to be great. If you get food in yourself and get water in yourself, and you know how to, like, some half-ass field first aid, then everything else will work itself out. You're not going to die out there. You get caught in a rainstorm, you ain't going to die. Like, it's very, very, like, there are, and I'm not saying this for like fly-ins where you're 100 kilometers away from anything else, but for most people's first mountain hunt, don't overthink it. Get out there, have some fun, learn basic survival skills. For sure. I'm not saying go from the streets out into the mountains, but just chill out a little bit,
but
guys.
That's pretty achievable, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, good stuff. I mean, I think we all sometimes you fall victim to that overthinking on stuff. I mean, we last year with elk, we did an elk camp series, which was fun. It was so awesome. And it was funny because we had, I don't know, what did we do? 3 or 4 different episodes with different people. And Blake and I sat back afterwards and I said, okay, we learned a lot of things, but the other thing that we learned out of this is there's a lot of different opinions on how to hunt elk, right? And so, I think what you got to do, and tip that I would offer is, absorb as much as you can, but, make your own decisions and go with your gut when you're hunting. And, try just, what do you think is right? And guess what? You might fuck it up. You might make a mistake. You might blow that stock up. And if you do, learn from it. Don't make that mistake twice. You probably will, but, we all do it, right? Like, there's just so much, like you said, influencers are pumping stuff for different reasons, but just make your own decisions and it'll work out. So that's my tip.
And there's no like exactly what you just said. There's no rule book that says, step 1, step 2, step 3. These are the steps you have to follow to survive, to do a mountain hunt, to kill a sheep, elk, blah, 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 insert it. It doesn't matter. There's a million different ways you can do about it. There's a million different ways you can climb that mountain. There's a million different spots you can camp on that mountain. And I think that's, when I say, like, it's not that deep, it's also situations aren't that bad is the big thing I try and push, especially with, like, even bringing my wife out hunting and everything else like that.
Mhm.
When we got her a couple of years ago, I got heat stroke. I was like projectile vomiting. It was brutal. It was bad. And there's a little
Oh,
bit
boy.
to me. I don't care. Like I'm sick, but I mean we're fine. I could lay down right in that bush. I'm not going to die. And walking through that kind of stuff, and you kind of get reminded of that. But yeah, it's like, you know what? Okay, you're in a spot and it's pouring rain, beginning of September. It's not freezing, but it's pouring rain, and you're fucking drenched, and your sleeping bag's drenched, everything else like that. Laugh that shit off, dry it out in the morning. What are you gonna do about it? Like it doesn't
Exactly.
matter.
What are you gonna
Like,
do about it? You're wet.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, who cares? Like, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
like Dad, you mentioned elk camp. My biggest takeaway from talking to all these guys who are, really successful elk hunters was like, they all just do something. They don't overthink it. They're just like, try it, see what happens, but at least push the envelope. Don't be the person that just sits there and waits and the elk kind of works its way off. Like, rip a bugle, rip a cow call, go in
go
on it.
after
Like,
them.
just walk in
Yeah.
after it. And then
Yeah.
that was the one tip I took. We went up and,
What
we
killed
had a
your elk?
really timely day in the woods when the elk were, bugling and active. But we did that exact thing. Like, we weren't experts. We just kind of kept pushing the envelope, and sure enough, an opportunity presents itself. And it seems like the more you learn about hunting and gear, it's like the simpler almost it becomes in terms of like what you really need and what you should be doing.
Yeah, exactly. All right, buddy. We like to close our shows off with a few. I call them the rapid fire. They're not all that rapid, but they're consistent questions that we ask pretty well every guest. So I'm going to give you two or three here. If money or time was no object, what would your dream hunt be? Anywhere in the world.
This is gonna be the stupidest answer, but Markhor. I don't know why. It's for some reason I must have seen him when I was a kid in some stupid magazine or a documentary or something. Because I've got a thing about looking at those twisted horn goats, and I think they're just the coolest thing. I'd love to go chase one of them. I know nothing about them. I don't even know where they live, for Christ's sakes. But I think it'd be the coolest thing to go hunt one of those things. Yeah.
I had to look them up. I never even heard of them.
They are very cool. Yeah. Well, you're probably gonna need some money for that one, but you got to pump a few of those customs out, and you'll get your Markhor bud. I'll tell you.
Some stuff in that piggy bank now. You never know.
Exactly. You got to get that 18-month list down to like 2 months, and then you can just go buy one. It'll be easy.
Yeah.
Okay. Next question. By the way, Markhor's on my list, but I've got some work to do too. Favorite big game recipe or meal? So we're talking meat, prepared. Which species? How do you like it cooked?
Yeah, elk backstrap. Sacrilegious, but cube that stuff up, searing hot pan, salt, pepper, garlic, make like little elk bites out of it the day that you get out of the bush, and before that stuff hits the freezer, and it is just so good. Little dipping sauce. You're around all the boys, drinks are going. It's the go-to every single time.
Right on. Yeah. Okay. Now I'm fucking hungry. Oh my god. Okay. All right. The last question to me is the most important one of all the topics that we've talked about tonight. I already know the answer, but I want to hear it out of your mouth. What does conservation mean for Tanner Dannish, and what message do you want to deliver to hunter conservationists out there?
Conservation for myself is that is the idea that I would give up hunting today for the rest of my life if it meant that my kids could go hunt. It's I've gotten my fill. I've been very lucky to get out in the bush. It is about the next generation. It's about making sure that these animals continue to stay on the landscape, regardless if we actually get to hunt them or not. At the end of the day, I want them on the landscape. I want to hunt them. That helps me want to see them on the landscape. But at the end of the day, That's what it's all about. My kids should be able to see sheep. They should be able to see elk. They should be able to see grizzly bears on that landscape.
Well said, my friend. And I think that, that should be a poster in our community right there. And thank you for that. That's great. Okay, I think we got one more sleeve to give away, the last one. Let's do it, Blake.
Cool. All right. Give me 1 second here. Okay. All right. So the number is 31. Let me just kind of get that here. Okay, I've got on my list, I see Kevin Westfall. So Kevin, congrats. We'll be in touch with you here.
And Blake is going to collect all the details on the winners tonight and then get it off to Tanner. Tanner's going to ship those direct. So that's how that process is going to work.
Yep.
All right. So we're killing it for time. What are we at, Blake? Got to be just about there, hey?
Yeah, we're just about there.
All right. Well, I'm going to drop a little. Go for it, Tanner.
If I can turn this around for a second.
Yep.
What can the average person, and then also on top of that, the average small business owner, because at the end of the day, that's, I feed myself through this. We're not a multi-million-dollar business. What can we do to help support Spike Camp and support, what you guys are doing towards conservation? Is it, just getting the word out there? Is there anything else that a person can do?
That's a great question, and your timing couldn't be better. When Blake and I started Spike Camp just over a year and like 3 months ago, our vision was to become sort of the voice for the animals and the hunters and combine them into one platform. So conservation and hunting blended together. And we chose to put our support behind Wild Sheep Society of BC first and foremost. And then we slowly extended that to Alberta, Wild Sheep Foundation Alberta, and the Goat Alliance. And those three groups have been the three sort of main founding partners for us on the conservation side. Just recently, in the last couple of weeks, we were put in contact by Kyle from Wild Sheep Society. He put me in touch with Gray Thornton at the Wild Sheep Foundation National Chapter. And I had this amazing conversation with Gray, and it turned into an invitation to join, to be a special guest at the Wild Sheep Foundation Chapter and Affiliate Summit that just happened this past weekend in Calgary. And basically what came out of that, Tanner, was we were given an opportunity to present Spike Camp to the entire Wild Sheep Foundation community, internationally, right? So all the chapter and affiliate heads, presidents, their delegates that they sent were at this. And we're now in the process of taking it to the next level. And our goal for Spike Camp is to really grow this sense of community amongst hunter conservationists and give our people, not just the Spike Camp people, but our people within that conservation space, a real voice to unite going forward. So what's the answer to the question is spread the word. Spread the word to everybody you know that there's a community out there that cares about conservation first and cares about, the hunters being, basically profiled as conservationists, because we need to work together so that we don't lose our opportunities like we have in the past, like the grizzly bear, some of the caribou draws, and some of this other stuff, because the anti-hunters, and in my opinion, the anti-conservationists is what I call them, they're armed and dangerous. They got a lot of money behind them. And the only way we can fight that fight is to be together. And Spike Camp we're going to do everything we can to increase our membership on the platform through those channels. But if you meet somebody out there that has a hunting license and they don't have a membership to any of those organizations, kick them in the ass, buy them a membership, donate a membership to them, whatever you got to do. Everybody that's on this platform should be a member of a conservation group. And finally, I'll just say this, everybody's asking, how do you guys fund this business? Well, right now it's coming out of our pockets, but there is opportunities for us to sell and monetize the site slightly. And we're going to be extremely careful with that. We're choosing partners that care. And we're giving those partners that care a chance to put their advertising or their logo on the platform. And all we're trying to do at some point is just have enough of that coming in to keep this thing alive. And then we can just let this momentum grow. So that's what we're trying to do. That's the real mission. Hunter conservation. So.
Yeah. And Tanner, I was just going to say, I mean, you and the Frontiersmen Gear brand in general has been an incredible supporter of us from the jump. So I don't know if I've had enough time to say it to you personally, but really appreciate it because, I mean, even when we were 200 members, you were helping us and, donating the odd item for us to give away and spreading the word on social media and stuff. So the short version is, I mean, we're just trying to grow the member base and, your support's been top notch. So we don't need much more from you other than that. And we'll do our part to spread your message too.
Oh, I appreciate it.
Yeah, and I'll just drop a little teaser. Clay's asking. We just hit 850 a couple days ago, but I think we're about to work this partnership. 850 members. Sorry, it's hard to understand what I'm saying, but yeah, we're at 850. But I think now that we're going to grow the community through those chapters, we're going to see that number grow pretty quick.
Yeah, we got a few things cooking here. Yeah,
a few things cooking. We've got there's going to be some pretty cool announcements coming on some initiatives that we're doing with the foundation and all those chapters too. So there'll be a lot of really good stuff that's just going to spread our word. And I think the last thing I want to mention too, and this is a little teaser, but there's going to be a pretty cool collaboration between Spike Camp and Frontiersmen, spreading each other's word. There's going to be some stuff coming from Tanner headed our way. I'm just going to leave it at that. And you're going to see Tanner's brand on Spike Camp in a permanent way here in the next week or so. And this is the first of many interviews we're going to get you on. We want to turn this into a regular thing. It's been a lot of fun. And, I echo what Blake said about, you and Omer were the first 2 phone calls I made when I was looking for donations for prizes for people. And both of you guys stepped up and, there's a reason why I called you, and that's because you guys ring that conservation bell so loud. And, we want to thank you for that.
It's honestly, it's the least we can do. It's when we can band together all these great people that are, put wildlife first at the end of the day. Like, I mean, whether it's Rocky Mountain Go to Lions, WSSBC, the small businesses that do it as well, like Alpine and Omer and all these guys, it means a lot. And, I feel grateful that I'm able to help. I mean, I've said it multiple times, but I'm an average dude, and I feel pretty lucky. Anything that we get to be a part of, whether it's with you guys or all these other great organizations, it's my pleasure.
Right on, buddy. Well, thanks, Mel. I'm looking forward to swinging into that shop. I don't think I'll make the opener, but we're going to stop in, and I can't wait to see it. It's going to be awesome.
Oh, that's great. Coffee will be on and beer will be cold whenever you guys do swing by.
All right.
Right on.
Awesome. And special thanks to all the members that joined us tonight. This was a fun, super fun episode. We have, keep in mind, we've got this member rewards program. We've got a giveaway coming at the end of the month. And then first week of July, we're going to announce the next one. It's going to be a really big giveaway, and it's going to support conservation in a big way. So be ready to get after it, everybody. Thank you very much. Have a good night.